It's the 26th of November 2018. Good morning and welcome to the best morning show here in Ghana, Newday. My name is Josh Quinn and we are live on DSTV channel 279. And now let's start off with the news and on to our very first story. President Akufo-Addo has emphatically insisted the National Cathedral will be built to the glory of God despite agitations surrounding its construction. Speaking at the climax of the 125th anniversary celebrations of the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra, the President assured Ghanaians that all government programs and policies will be implemented regardless of challenges.
The Catholic Church in Accra began with the first Holy Mass on January 31, 1893 by Reverend Father Otto Hilberer and Eugene Rice, two priests of the Society of the African Mission who were sent from the Elmina Mission that had started in 1880. Over the years, the church, which started as a mission station, had grown in leaps and bounds to its current state, with a congregation of over 400,000 faithful. The church, through the years, has produced the Kofodia Diocese and the Apostolic Vicariate of Donkokrom. Preaching the sermon, the Metropolitan Archbishop, Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Palmer Bako, urged members to renew their commitment to the evangelization and the spirit of fellowship and communion.
My dear brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ, the King of the universe, teaches us not only servant kingship, he also exemplifies it in selfless service and in service even to the point of death, to the point of self-sacrifice.
President Akufo-Addo said government is committed to partnering with the church to enhance development, adding all policies will be implemented.
All the programs and policies being rolled out, which were once described as overly ambitious and not feasible by some, whether it is a free senior high school, planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and the development of our road and rail infrastructure, amongst others, will be implemented to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. The execution of these policies will help lead us onto the path of progress and prosperity. And through Christ who strengthens us, the National Cathedral will be built to the glory and honor of God. Amen.
The anniversary is under the theme celebrating 125 years of Catholic mission in Accra, renewing our commitment to evangelism.
And Minister of Information Kojo Nkrumah has described as untrue claims by the opposition NDC that government plans to increase presidential staffers from 998 to 1,614. At a media briefing here in Accra, he noted there's a program in place to rather reduce the staff numbers at both the office of the president and government machinery.
You'll find that in 2018, the numbers I gave you, the establishment ceiling was 1,697. In the 2019 budget, it's 1,614. So what is actually happening is that the program is reducing from 1,697 to 1,614. And this is mostly as a result of retirements that are not being replaced and some of the offices that have been closed down. For example, SADA, you would notice that it's no longer existing.
Kojo Nkrumah observed there are 19 entities under government machinery.
There's a clear difference between the office of government machinery and the office of the president. The executive arm of government is organized into ministries, departments, and agencies. The supervising outfit of the executive arm is referred to as the office of government machinery. And it comprises about 19 different units, one of which is the office of the president. It is only when you compare the 998 from the office of the president only to the bigger office of government machinery, 1614, that you can arrive at that claim that there is going to be an increase in numbers, and that increase in numbers is even about 616. But that is totally false. That's totally untrue.
He indicated the NDC has refused to back its claims as requested by government.
They refer to the 2019 budget as the source of their claim and proceeded further to claim that any such action will amount to a burden on the public purse. This afternoon, there are three things that government wishes to share with you on this matter. One, that claim is false. Two, the makers of the claim have either confused Office of Government Machinery with Office of the President, or are only up to political mischief. And three, contrary to the claim, staff numbers at the Office of the President and even the Office of Government Machinery itself are rather going through a programmed reduction.
And the family of the late Nakpana Salifu Dawuni of Bimbilla in the northern region has revealed the ruling by the Supreme Court has no binding on them. The family, in an exclusive interview with TV3 ahead of the celebration of the Damba Festival, insisted they have the right to undertake any traditional activities as the custodians of Nanum. Here's a report by Christopher Amwako.
The Nakpa family in a latest claim has argued that the Supreme Court failed to employ Section 57 of the Chieftaincy Act in their May 23, 2018 ruling, which upheld that the late Bimbilla Na Andani Dasana had been lawfully ensconced as the ruler of Bimbilla. According to a spokesperson for the family, Mohammed Aminu, they do not regard the Supreme Court's verdict because it does not have any bearing on customs and traditions of Bimbilla.
We are telling them that our customs and tradition, the traditional regalia, they are all here. They are not there, they are all here. Why is it that they are here? It's because we are the legitimate people to the throne of Bimbilla.
He noted the family will soon start ensconcing chiefs to occupy various kings in the Nanum Kingdom, since they are the recognized chiefs by tradition.
We are celebrating it because the Jonah who has ensconced Mantambo as Bimbilla Na is the same Jonah who has ensconced Salifu as the Bimbilla Na. And so that is why we are celebrating Damba.
Meanwhile, the regents of Bimbilla, Yelen Bolguna, Yakubu and Dani Dasana, has accused government machinery and the security for the disregard of the Supreme Court ruling by the Nakpa family.
This is just the first step of peace in the area. We know it's going to be difficult, but it's up to them to enforce on the law. But looks like whenever the security personnel try to respect or to enforce the law, this same government machinery comes in and they make them misbehave.
The Bimbilla District Police Commander ASP Evans Vovo assured residents of total security. Damba is celebrated by Muslims to mark the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. The celebration, which has transcended from a religious activity to traditional celebration, is revered in the calendar of Northern Region.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching news here on Newday. My name is Josh Quinn. And now let's shift to health, where cross-infections are threatening the lives of premature babies at the Hridium St. Elizabeth Catholic Hospital in the Sutifis South District of the Bono Ahafo region. This is because the hospital lacks incubators at its neonatal unit, a situation which has compelled authorities to place 3 of 4 premature babies in an incubator, leading to congestion. Here's a report by Larry Parkwisi Moses.
The hospital keeps recording increased preterm babies because it receives referrals from other health facilities in the region. An improvised neonatal intensive care unit, which is to accommodate only 4 premature babies, is currently accommodating about 28 babies, causing congestion. The hospital admits 3 to 4 cases of premature births every month, but due to the unavailability of an ambulance in the district, they are not able to transfer cases to other districts. The medical director of the Shudium Government Hospital, Dr. Ivan Mwana, explained that because of the bad condition of the unit, the medical officers at the hospital contributed individually to buy incubator for the unit.
We were contributing gradually till we got the amount to go and buy it. Things like that was difficult convincing them to continue contributing, but all being so good, we were able to purchase the incubator. But at that time we had only one working incubator, so now we have 2 incubators. And even after that, I think at that time the pediatrician was yet to come. So as when it started and people started bringing their referrals in, we realized that even the 2 incubators are woefully inadequate.
Head of the pediatrician unit of the hospital, Dr. Duradapa, said the hospital requires 150,000 cedis to expand its neonatal unit. He said the hospital was fast growing, with outpatient department cases increasing between 8,000 and 10,000 every month. Inadequate pediatricians to cater for the increasing cases of preterm babies is a major source of worry for them.
We need monitors, very important, because sometimes we have one staff, one national service, and maybe one assistant helping. And we have about 20 babies. So for the monitoring, it's not the best. But if you have monitors around with alarms, at least the monitors will give you some an idea. But if it's going to the limit that you don't want, undesirable limit, there will be an alarm for them to know.
Some nursing mothers also shared the frustration they go through when they visit the facility.
I
have been sleeping in the chair since I came here. We are appealing to stakeholders to come and build some structures for us.
He was not only challenged by his physique. Samuel Aboga-Sigli also underwent emotional difficulties resulting from inaccessibility of structures at the University of Cape Coast in the Central Region. But after Spencer Kwabena-Boatin-Mensah's report, Journey to the West, which was aired on Mission, Samuel says his academic and social lives on campus have been changed.
Although there is an elevator in the Samjona Library at the University of Cape Coast, it was not always operational, and Samuel Aboga-Sigli had to go through the challenge of descending down to access ICT services. Now, the situation is quite different. The elevator has been fixed and my cameraman and I were able to use the facility. Samuel and others in his condition can now access both basement and upper floors of the university library as the elevator remains operational. He says his classes have also been arranged downstairs.
First of all, I would like to thank TV3 and Spirit Lab Foundation for making this thing possible for me. After the Journey to the West, they have made sure everything is in place for me. My lectures, they have moved it from top floor to ground floor, where I'm able to access that place. I'm very glad about it.
Samuel reported late to school in the 2018-19 academic year, but according to him, management of the superannuation hostel arranged a suitable accommodation for him. His social life on campus has seen a dramatic improvement. He's now a member of the campus badminton team comprising of staff members and some students of the university.
From the Journey to the West, I decided not to sit there to relax, and I have to find something to do, like do some games, and I've initiated myself in playing badminton, which is very good for me, and it has also motivated me to do extra. I'm a beginner, but I'm trying to make to the top, like praying for the national badminton, para badminton. I'll be glad if I get a call up to play for the national para badminton. The wheelchair is not okay for this game, so I'm pleading to the general public to come to my aid, get me a wheelchair which is meant for playing badminton, and I think it will improve my confidence and it will improve my game too.
The stigma has reduced, with more people embracing him for who he is, making him gain more confidence. But Samuel needs a proper wheelchair to enable him negotiate his movement in the game and to also move around with ease. Although the university is doing its best.
And the mobile money interoperability platform launched in May by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has so far recorded 1.3 million individual transactions worth a tax-free amount of 134 million cedis. The second phase, according to the Minister of Information, Kojompon Nkrumah, will be rolled out this coming week by the Vice President.
Phase 1 of the mobile money interoperability was limited for the mobile networks and Ghana Link. The second phase will complete the triangular platform, which will allow banks and other financial institutions participate in the interoperability.
Money subscribers and eSwitch card holders wishing to move money across these payment platforms can now do so seamlessly from their phones or any eSwitch device, such as the airport systems at the banks and agent locations. Similarly, the interconnection of mobile money and eSwitch platforms to the G8 Link platform means customers can conveniently move funds across all three platforms: bank accounts, mobile money wallets, and eSwitch as well.
Bank of Ghana, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, GIPS, the telcos and financial institutions are to ensure that mobile money platforms were interoperable to make banking services more accessible to the large unbanked population, estimated to be about 70%.
With the successful rollout of Phase 2, customers will be able to send and receive money directly from each other, irrespective of the payment platform that they are on. And this is a real big deal for a cash-light society that we desire to create. It will be a platform that will also enable free flow of funds between and among all three platforms, allowing the banked and the unbanked to interact at the same level.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia had disclosed that the new interoperability system will cost the country less than $4 million after the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems took charge of the project.
Cost of second phase of interoperability, my understanding is that the entire interoperability project is what was costed and announced to us earlier. So this does not come at any extra cost beyond what was announced to us earlier in March 2017.
Interoperability is the ability for customers to undertake money transfers between two accounts of different mobile money companies, or to transfer money between mobile money accounts and bank accounts.
And now let's shift to the foreign front, where Russia's FSB security service said early on Monday its border patrol boat had seized 3 Ukrainian naval vessels in the Black Sea near Crimea on Sunday and used weapons to force them to stop, the RIA News agency reported. The FSB was cited as saying it had acted because the Ukrainian vessels had illegally entered its territorial waters, ignored warnings to stop, and maneuvered dangerously. And RIA quoted the FSB as saying 3 Ukrainian sailors had been wounded in the incident and were getting medical care. Their lives were not in danger, the FSB said. And that's how we end news here on Newday. You can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. We're going for a quick commercial break. Newday continues right after. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Still dancing because it's a beautiful Monday morning, and thank you once again for joining us. It's myself, Johnny, and Noah Fallon. Yeah. Good morning, guys.
Noah Fallon, how are you?
It's a bright and early Monday morning, and I'm feeling really good.
You are? What did you do over the weekend?
personal stuff.
You just had fun. That's the most important
I had
thing.
fun
and you
it was
rested.
relaxing.
Okay.
Yes,
Great.
that's why I feel tip-top.
Yeah.
Great.
I know what Alma does over the weekend.
Of course, I go to church, I pray, I have fun with my little children.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
amazing.
I know.
And hopefully none of you experienced Zoom Soul over the weekend.
Oh, well, I did. Friday
I
into
did.
Saturday morning, I did.
I
But
did.
it came back. And then now I don't have water as well.
Does it go as far as 12 hours? Because there have been some
No,
reports.
I don't think so.
I think that the whole doomsday thing, and government has said over and over again that there's nothing like doomsday. We've been told that there's a technical fault.
Right.
There's a shortage of gas, grid coal, low pressure, all those issues. But when you feel it, you know it. And I don't like it when you talk about some of these things happening and people say, well...
But what is doomsday really? When you say there's nothing like doomsday, doomsday is when the people's lights go off for an extended period of time.
Well,
and that's people
with a
experiencing
timetable
that.
or without a timetable?
This is the whole point. It's easier if you're actually given a timetable.
So people can
then
plan
yes,
and
you
make
plan ahead, you know
for
the light's
that.
going to go off and come at this time. It's much more structured than just, the light goes off and you are not prepared for it. You have no idea.
But then government has been explaining that this is just erratic power supply. So how do they put a timetable to something that's not uncertain, something that
I can understand where they're coming from, but they are the technical people, so they should be able to at least arrange it in such that it becomes a scheduled, plan. Even though it's erratic, Johnny, I'm sure they can decide or agree on who should get power at what time, because right now, whatever happens, there is some shortage in the power.
Schedule the emergency.
Yeah, but we've done it. Haven't we gone in for emergency, car powers? We've done things that are emergency.
You mean the power banks?
Yes, the power banks. And these, it's becoming extended, so it's no longer an emergency. It has become, in my case, elective case. So you can plan for it, And I think they should be quick about it.
Anyway,
exactly
let me say thank you to the folks at Nima and Mamobi last Friday for hosting us on Community Connect. We're most grateful for all your efforts and your time. Watch out for our next community where we'll be going. We're delving deeper into issues. International Men's Day is gone. World Toilet Day is gone along with it. Brand new week.
Yeah. And Johnny, interestingly, today on the show, we'll be talking about rent wahala in Ghana. That issue never seems to go away. Rent. And then, of course, we'll have our newspaper review, and then we'll have Mission. We'll be talking about inclusive education, which we've been hammering down many, many days down the line. We'll find out how far with it and whether people even understand what this thing means. Because the fight is not enough when we started, and people can also go along with us. Everyone needs to understand why we need that inclusive education for everybody.
I don't know. I think that the rent issue is a very big one. It's a very, very big one for many people, especially when we know we have housing deficit in this country, and we keep paying lip service to it. Nobody seems to be making any tangible effort to it. Look, where are the affordable houses?
People take loans in Ghana just so they can pay their rent.
Exactly.
And they pay their rent because that's for a year or two. And at the end of that period, they have to take another loan just to pay their rent. I think it's something that has to be addressed. It will bring relief to every Ghanaian because everyone is spending so much money on rent.
And that's why some of the young ones are finding quicker ways of making money, because these issues are real. Johnny, if you don't pay your rent, you don't have any shelter over your head. And we know these are basic needs of every individual.
Abraham
and so
Maslow.
they'll seek for, another way to make sure that is done.
Well, if you've been avoiding your landlord because you owe him or her rent, sorry for you. We will talk about rent issues. Front page stories. The Finder newspaper this morning reports that NIA scores 91% at Adentan and registers 104,000 out of the population of 113,973. Exercise extended to Wednesday, November 28, I beg your pardon. Government secures $100 million to upgrade technical universities' infrastructure, and government rescues ATL from shutting down Alan Tremanting. Staff of Office of the President to drop by 69, according to the Information Ministry, and will put Ghana on the path of progress. President there to the Catholic Church of Accra. The BNFT, conditions right for policy fall rate. Financial sector regulators must collaborate, and industry lauds paperless port system. The Ghanaian Times, our last one thus far. I will build National Cathedral to the glory of God. President Akufo-Addo says so. Zoom Lion Church of Pentecost Environmental Care Campaign takes off. Government secures $100 million for TVET, and no increase in number of staffers at the presidency upon Nkrumah. Mugabe unable to walk. The good old Robert Mugabe. Maybe he's 90 and over and he can't walk. It's okay. Or it's
just old age, you know, related.
So
you know, as you advance in age, some of these things happen. And I'm just wondering, what if he was still president and we got to this point where he can't walk? How does he perform his duties? Because if he hadn't been forced out, he would still be on that
but he will perform his. That's not to suggest that persons with disability cannot rise there. Well, we have, in our case, I've had Mr. Evo Christian, and all apologies to him, who seeks to be president. If he does become president, he'll still govern anyway.
But this is not, you know, some form of disability. It's age-related, which means he's gotten to a point where it's more difficult for him to perform his duties.
But he's still knowing Mugabe as he is. He would have still said, well, the fact that he can't walk doesn't mean his brain is not fast. So he will still sit. I mean, if that man doesn't die, technically by his own will, he wouldn't have gone.
And his mouth will be
as long as his mouth is working.
But you know, President Akufo-Addo says, I will build National Cathedral to the glory of God. Oh no, at all. He's declared his stance. And for me, it comes across as if he's gotten, you know, a revelation from God or a mandate from God to be able to carry out this. I certainly don't think people are against him building the National Cathedral. It's just the timeliness of this activity and the fact that many other things are pressing to us at this particular time. And so, of course, I think he can build it, but however they go about it is where we are concerned. If government is going to fund it, then certainly citizenry will have a big issue, because then it becomes an issue of, so if traditionalists say they're going to build a thing, is government going to pump money into it? If you know, Muslims come and ask for a particular, let's say, mosque, that's where the issue is. And we don't want to become we don't want to play politics with this when it even comes to religion. And so in as much as he has that passion, he should also listen to what citizens are concerned about at this particular point.
And especially when they keep saying, you know, this is a listening government. And the aspect where there isn't full disclosure, because initially government said they were only going to provide land. Now, the issue is that the land has opportunity cost. The fact that you're destroying judges' houses to use that land, that is the first issue. People think you should be using a different land, you know, something with less cost to the society. And then also going forward, you know, you make it obvious that government is providing just land. And then immediately in the budget, you know, there are some footnotes that suggest there will be seed money provided from government. This is another issue, you know, people, why don't you tell us from the beginning exactly how much government is providing and which other people are pitching in, which churches are pitching in, how much is coming from these churches, you understand?
I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that the national debate conversation would further and go on. But one thing is setting the optimism of the churches in this country towards the National Cathedral is big. And I've heard many different arguments. Some who think that it will bring us some tourism benefits, some who think that it would have a well-composed center, so we wouldn't have to go and have services at the conference center, at the National Theatre, if we have a national service to organize. But then the critics of the government have also been asking, is that the first priority that must come at this particular time? The president has over and over again said it. I mean, he's adamant. He says, look, this is what I want to do, and I will do it to the glory of God. Maybe it's proverbial King Solomon or David.
But you know, the timing, because Johnny, if even God asks you to do something, I mean, if, in the case of Noah, when he was asked to build the ark, no one seemed to buy into the idea, but he went ahead and did it because he had heard from God. That's what I'm saying. In as much as God may have given you a directive and there may be a lot of, you know, backlash or words, I feel that this is government and religion. It's not a personal edifice that you're building for yourself as president. This is something you're going to use taxpayers' money. So if you do it and people don't buy into the idea mutually, then it becomes a good thing for a bad, you know, a group of people who are murmuring or unhappy about it. And so the very people you seek to please by doing this will not be happy. Then again, when you talk about using it for, you know, conventions or probably we have buildings, we have edifices that we use, we have parks, we have big places, we're using it. And even every time we keep adding on and we change, we know how we have this mantra of once a new place comes, we all shift focus and move, and maintenance becomes an issue. And so we have to look at these things. Is this what Ghana needs at this particular point in time? I guess it's a simple question we're asking. But NIA is scoring 91% at Adentan. They register over 104,000 out of a population of 11 113,973, and they've extended. And Johnny, this is the very thing we're talking about, this extension.
You know when...
and the fact that it cost us more money.
ACI, Palm Detty came here.
Yes.
I told him, Chief, this is your timeline, it won't work. He said it will work. I said, Chief, it won't work. But my experience on community work, it will never work. Because one, you're having this pilot around a place where you have a lot of working class. Okay, so half of the time they are not there. And I was even asking about value for money. If you're hiring, you know, people to supervise the registration process, and they go and sit there the whole day, they get just about 5-6 people, and nothing happened. You will pay them anyway. But would we have gotten the you know, benefit of what we're paying for? So I suggested that we perhaps would start having this on Wednesday, or maybe on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it travels into the weekend. By that time, you have a lot of people who are winding off the week, and they are ready and willing to come and say, oh, well, now here we are.
But you know,
because this extension will cost us some more money.
It will. But you know, I was thinking about it. Their argument of doing it in the localities was to generate the GPS. But to the best of my knowledge, you can save your GPS. And so if we thought about that, is it possible that you can do it at my workplace, but use my home address, which I have saved, and just enter it into the system?
I think that when they did at Parliament, they used that feature. When they did at the Office of the President,
they did.
And even at the Judiciary, they used that feature. What is not certain is the bottlenecks, the problems that they have in terms of technology, the generator sets that got there, and some didn't have fuel, some depending on solar, and the machines that were taking forever to reboot, the attitude of the persons themselves who were registering people, all of it comes together. So if they are not correcting the wrongs as we make progress, we will have a big one on our hands. But I'm sure you have a message from Vodafone.
Yep, Vodafone has a big message for us, and they're saying make the smartest choice for your business now. He says go for smart business from Vodafone and experience real flexibility, convenience, and productivity. Smart business from Vodafone allows you to create your own customized data and voice plan to suit the unique requirements of your business. So whether it is airtime for your workers to make critical calls or data packages for email and digital marketing, we have got you covered. Also, you get to roll over your unused data to save some cash for your business. So move your business into the future with Vodafone Smart Business. You can call them on 030-233-4040 or 0800-10-000, or you can just visit them at www.vodafone.com.gh/business/smart business to build your own plan. Vodafone says the future is exciting. Are you ready? Yep, guys. But it's time for us to run.
There are lots of zeros in there.
I know. And
rent
we're
wahala.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rent.
Let's hit the streets and find out what the folks out there are talking about. Rent. Now we're going to Sadaka. This is what it feels
Nobody here knocking at my door. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Rant here on Newday. My name is Josh Quinn. We are live on DSTV channel 279, and having a safe, secure and affordable home is vital for people. But look at this, a middle income earner who earns around 800 cedis, costing about 20,000 cedis just to acquire a single room self-contained for 2 years. Pathetic, isn't it? But this is one of the many challenges with regards to renting. Let's have this discussion this morning. This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
Personally, I think it's a raw challenge, you know, considering the salary of the average Ghanaian, you know, and Mihunu say is the lack of proper regulation. Because if the rent control, the regulations are properly working, this thing shouldn't be an issue. Personally, I think the maximum advance they should even take should be 3 months. 3 months. So then the subsequent ones will be on a monthly basis. You know, I've had issues of people reporting to rent control of a tenant not, paying the rent and all that. If we can report tenants to rent control, why can't rent control also enforce a law? Say tenants, just 3 months for a tenant to pay, then the subsequent one becomes.
So who reports to a tenant? Can you stay in the house?
You see, it's funny. When the tenant defaults, they know the laws are there to deal with the tenant, but the law doesn't speak for the tenant.
Normally, in the rent challenges in your cities, in urban centers, rural communities, it's not in Tessa. That's right. A hokra Kituabi. Time will be Beneska Atasa, Kumasi, and Akran, or Bray. Lantenwa issues, challenges, land gas near the day, or Brent to me, Sifi and Vian officers or Tinsikana. And they said, you mean in name chiefs, any government come together. Now, Omoyisa issue a free hole. So that or quotas as none what me see than we are. Mininis will be about the person, and person, Sikana. Sir, I didn't know what holding to know. And why is okay, but my breast me down there. And yet, that's a meeting Sikana. The government in Bamudia, a boy in Anya Sadia. All my chief on the cousin be said, I hope on a chiku. Why would me if I would down on my way no many nantin and my hope of a bambi? They must say, Banners are challenges over one and Emrahon eventually in a perfect education, a perfect agriculture setup, a perfect finance, banking setup, a perfect health. All government institutions then will be affected. Because one more room on many personnel and behind the anime among who free outside in the Orbans when you baby are now. On to me, Nerjuman, on to me, Kohai Hotel, then baby on your hotel, or better Metria. And the issue as a government as soon as possible. On the stakeholders and sit together. Now you come out with a very moderate amount of money beer. Metria now one more tenants also in Yesikabi or China also
It's only in Ghana that you see people do magic in our way of living. For instance, if your salary or my salary is let's say 1,000 cedis or let's say 1,500 cedis, how dare do you raise and rent 2 years advance of like Jolu? You will not get any single room self-contained less than 400 cedis. Wow. So for 2 years, I'm talking over 9,000 plus. How do you raise this amount of money within 2 years from your salary? So the question is, to me, it should go beyond just formulating the law. Let us look at how to enforce and ensure its implementation so that the 2 years and the 3 years and 1 year that people take at least can stay within the regulation as it is today. Our lawmakers are those are in the leadership positions. A lot of them don't pay rent. If they do, why are they aloof? Well, maybe some of them may not suffer the way you and I will suffer to raise that kind of money. You understand? So to them it's peanuts. It's easy for them. But for you and I who earns from, a meager salary like 1,000 cedis, 1,200, 2,000 cedis, it's a struggle.
The situation is here. We have 3 people at stake here. The one who put up the building, the one who come in to rent, and there should be somebody who has the rules and regulations concerning how these things are to be done. Good. So now, if the rules and regulations are there, then somebody should enforce it and make sure that the person who is coming to rent and the one who put up the building, no one suffers. Now, I go back to the second speaker. He said before you acquire the land and put up the building, you have one motive. You want to make sure you get back the money you put in. It's an investment. So you wouldn't tell me if I had gone for a loan, paying interest, and somebody is coming in and you should pay 3 months, how long will it take me to be able to pay off my loan? It means eventually nobody can take loan and put up buildings. Then how can we get accommodation when we come from our villages? So something must be done by the government towards that. Then the person who is renting also. For instance, if I can afford, say, 3 months, and they are asking me to pay 2 years, you will be surprised. We are talking of the income, the low income earner, or the average male. You will be surprised how they will maneuver to get the money.
I was saying that this word, it's not mine.
So it's making the landlords feel low. No matter how much I mention, people will come. You go there this morning. By evening, another person has come because you couldn't pay in the morning. In the evening, somebody is in that building. So what tells them that there is no money in the system?
I am even of the view that the contribution that we even pay to SNIT whilst we are in active service can be channeled into something of that sort for us, rather than SNIT taking our money over this. Exactly. You know, they can even put up, depending on what the deduction is. If it's a 2-bedroom apartment that is being put up for you, you know that, oh, okay, over this period of time, by the time I get to my retirement age, I have a place to lay my head. You see people struggling in paying this money, and at the end of the day, they go on retirement and they don't even have a place to lay their heads. You know, so that is another thing also that SNIT should actually go looking into.
I don't think all the building housing structures or housing facilities are the same. Yeah. They vary. Yeah. But the prices also vary.
Because you can get, you know, one room self-contained at Shadow for 500. If you go to Amasama, it can be 200.
200. Even in slums, it can be 200. Yeah. So this landlords association should come together to regulate this thing. The government should come in so that we feel our paraku, our spinters, our very high level living area, they are more price. Those in maybe different facilities, you have their own price. Sure. Otherwise, people are going to suffer.
People rent for 1 year. At the end of the 1 year, the landlord increases the rent.
That's right. So we have to look into. Now, we have to look into the fact that can we always increase the thing yearly? Is it lawful?
Meanwhile, you've not done any renovations in your...
Do you know why they... Let me explain why they increase it yearly. Every year, our currency keeps devaluing. So if the currency keeps devaluing, I got my 100 million yesterday. It's not 100 million today. So if therefore,
what have you done to your house to pay extra money? What have you done?
It's an investment for me. I'm paying interest to the bank.
Why give me a condition now or what?
Yes. How many of us will be able to afford project without loan today?
You agree with me that putting up a project takes a while, you know, and you after putting it up, you don't expect to reap within at once or at the shortest possible time.
The builder is a businessman. Of course. He is a businessman. Any businessman wants to get. So what I'm just also suggesting or bringing in here is, why not look at, when we say affordable, look at alternatives. We use the blocks, we use cement, and this roofing sheet. Now I think there are other alternatives in putting up buildings. Which will be cheaper, so that the rent will also go down.
Well, you've heard the public talk, and for them, government should review the rent control law, and also they should consult stakeholders in order to make this a thing of the past. And I know you've got, you know, concerns with regards to rent. Just log on to our social media platform. Just share with us. On Facebook, it's TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter, it's a News TV3. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Welcome back, and thank you most importantly for joining us. Our WhatsApp line is 020-216-6633. We're getting on into the details in the front pages of the newspapers, and I've been joined this morning by my guest. The Honorable Kwame Agboja is the Member of Parliament for Adaklu. I call him Adaklu Messiah. Chief, good morning, and thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Stephen Amoa is the boss at Maslock. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. I like your tie, the orange and everything. It's a big man tie.
Oh, thank you. Are you sure? It's a government tie.
I see. No, but yours is nice.
It is opposition tie.
Oh, the opposition wears red, the government wears orange.
Can you do me a favor? Okay. Find the cost of it and the cost of mine.
Okay.
And next week, tag and yes.
So this is opposition tie.
Yes. Give you opposition.
So what's mine?
Oh, you are a superstar.
Oh.
If your opposition is more costly.
I see. Kwame, how's the budget conversation going on in Parliament? So far, so good?
So far, so good. What is, like I said on, I think, Friday and Thursday, I am disappointed at the fact that a very important, perhaps one of the most important budgets to government, but the finance minister couldn't be bothered to stay around and listen. Because you see, when you read the budget in Parliament and you're telling the people's representative, you expect them to scrutinize and pass it. And when they are having the discussion, you're not there. So what is the point? So I was saying that maybe we should stop the debate
and wait when the appropriation bill comes. We just do whatever we want to do. Because we were expecting the finance minister to be around for the debate. Friday, for instance, not even any of the deputies were around. And I was asking myself, what are we here doing? We're wasting our time. So if the finance minister is watching, you ought to be in parliament to listen to the debate so you can get the sense of the country in terms of the various aspects of the budget. I mean, as a minority spokesman on road and transport, I've already made my point. Government basically believes that until they get Sino-Hydro, they won't do anything about the road sector. But in all, many things, including the unnecessary controversy about presidential staffers, which, if we get the time, we can
discuss that.
Clarify that. But apart from that, so far, so good. And the numbers are also not good enough.
Okay.
Most of the time, and I'm going to say this. Most
on your
of the
side or on the side of the majority?
On the side of the 169 of them, most of the time, if you were to take a head count of the number of people in parliament, the majority is almost always more than the minority. The minority is always more than the majority in terms of head count. That is not good enough. Even Speaker had to make a comment about it. Okay. But if you go and check the votes and proceedings, they will tell you 200 people were in parliament. However, if you check the chamber, using the CCTV in the chamber on daily basis,
so people come and write their names and go?
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it, but it's not good for our democracy. We have to be in parliament to deal with important issues like the budget.
Will this in any way delay the confirmation of the budget for its implementation for the good people of Ghana?
Unfortunately not. The government will whip their people on the day of the appropriation to all of them to come and vote on something they have no clue about. They'll whip all of them to the chamber. I wouldn't say these things are necessarily peculiar to one government, but it's become acute. And I can't see why, if you have 169 members of parliament, then we have a situation where 60, 40 people are the only ones in the chamber to do the debate. That is unacceptable.
Does it because the budget is very important. I mean, I've been to parliament to report on issues where you would have the whips doing their job and making sure there's a full house. The budget should be equally important to them. Why are they not showing up? Do we know?
Well, I can't see anything more important around this time of the year than the budget.
Absolutely. So why are they not showing up?
The person who actually presented the budget, I started by telling you, couldn't be bothered to be around. We have one minister and then in fact, 3 deputies. Okay. 3 deputies. Not a single one of them was in the house on Friday. And if the person whose budget we are dealing with couldn't be bothered to be around, why do you think that the majority members will find it necessary to be around, let alone the minority? But I am encouraged by the fact that the minority, because I belong to the minority, they tell us we have to be around. And many of the times, if you do a head count, I am saying the minority outnumbers the majority on the floor of the debate. Forget about what you come and see on the votes and proceedings, because as far as I'm concerned, backed by the Speaker, it does not reflect.
It's not a true reflection.
No. The day I had an issue with the Speaker, when I wanted to raise the issue of quorum, when we were doing the CI, it was basically to draw that attention. And somebody told me the following day that, if you take the votes and proceedings, we're over 200 in the chamber. I said, if I want to make a case out of it, I wouldn't use the votes and proceedings. I'll use the CCTV at the time we were taking the vote to see whether you had 200 people in the chamber, because you had less than 60.
Okay, Stephen, step in for me now. This is what we're being told from Parliament. Does it paint a good picture for a country that says 2019 is action year and we want to make progress? This is the budget that will drive the action, and we don't have the people to discuss.
My regards to our viewers this morning, and I think what I can say this morning is that I don't know whether you know what is called asymmetric information.
I do.
Yes, where not every piece of vital, relevant information is actually available to all stakeholders, particularly external ones. My honorable is a member of parliament. And seriously speaking, I'm a external stakeholder. The figures he's putting into the public domain, I cannot say they are false. And I cannot say they are true, but I think they may be true, because this is not an issue he may even lie about it. But I think it is also been a ritual on the part of both houses Normally, when they are in government, if what he's saying is true, because I'm not there.
Okay.
So I'm making my comment based on the extract that I've had
that he
from,
gave you.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
But if it is true, as a country, we need to be very careful, whether it is government A or B or party B or C. Look, for any country to attain the ultimate goal all over the world of, long-term economic growth and stability, it's all about productivity and labor force. And when you talk about productivity, these are some of the fundamental parameters that we look at. Turn-ups, they are very important. So I would just urge the House that if what he is saying is true, then I'm begging them, because they are being paid with taxpayers' money. Two, I think it's the most honorable segment in our social stratification as a country. So I'm just begging them that we need a lot. As a developing country,
we need to beg them.
In fact,
for people who put themselves up for election,
that is my side.
To say, I want to serve you, vote for me.
So what I'm saying is, but he says some do attend. So it means some do, but from what he's talking about, the proportion, the fraction, exactly.
Okay.
So if it is true, then what you're saying is perfect. We don't have to beg them, but what can you do? Have they forgotten that we are in a developing country? In fact, we have a long way to go. Anytime I travel from Kumasi to Accra, and vice versa by air, and it's during the day, and you look, when you're about to land, just look at our land, our roads, our streets, even by observation, which is also a acceptable method of research. About 90% of these roads and streets are not tarred. It is telling you that we have about 50, 100 years to go. So if we are serious and want to build our country, we need to be serious, and it has to start from Parliament. So I'm not saying they are doing bad, please, with all respect, so that they don't come and say contempt or whatever. I haven't gotten there. But we want to talk about Rwanda, we want to talk about UK, we want to talk about US, we want to talk about other developed countries or economies. However, the things that take them to get to those levels on the globe, we don't want to go by, we don't want to comply with. And sometimes it's very interesting. So we are appealing to them, urging them that they should take the duties of the House extremely very serious, extremely. And this is also advice to those who vote, whether in DC or MPP. Who do we send to Parliament? Does the person have the requisite expertise? Does the person have the knowledge?
Your constitution says if you are 21 years and above, you're a registered voter, and you're of sound mind. I don't know who checks for sound mind. You can, you can go to Parliament.
And they're also saying
no educational qualifications.
And you know, they're also saying
that Parliament works in committees. If you are a stark illiterate and you go to Parliament and you're put in a committee, how do you function?
Some of them might not necessarily be illiterate, but seriously speaking, they simply don't fit. They cannot. Because, look,
we are supposed to be checking for sound mind. That's what the Constitution says.
But they also say that everyone on earth has some level of psychosis.
Right.
So I agree with you. How do we check? Which level does it get to for us to know that you are not fit to vote? So we are just, in general, we are telling everybody that if you want to vote somebody into Parliament, find out whether the person has the requisite expertise to contribute his quota to developing this country.
Okay, Steve, the finance minister, we're told, was not in Parliament or has not been part of the conversation, his deputies as well. Does it worry you?
I must say, when we started the debate, the deputy...
Yeah, I saw the deputy, the female.
Abena was there.
Yeah,
she even made a contribution. And Honorable Kuku Kwating, because they are members of Parliament, they sat in few times, I think 2 times or so. But since then, they've not been around. And my worry is the finance minister himself, because it is not the first time. I've said that his frequency in the House is a bit difficult for me to understand.
Because he has deputies who can work.
No, not only that. He's never, if I tell you, for instance, he's the only finance minister who has never answered a question on the floor of Parliament by himself. He's never. The current finance minister has never come to the podium to answer a question by himself.
But the question is put to the ministry or to the minister and the deputy.
We are not being fair.
No, the deputies work in tandem with him. But you see, Tekpa was coming, Dufour was coming. All Bankru was coming.
Is it a matter of style for him that his deputies are competent enough to respond to the issues?
I'm happy when my brother brought the light onto Parliament. And you stretched it even further by asking, should we just send anybody to Parliament? No. I think there should be a basic requirement, maybe by civil service, as to who would you get a job in civil service based on that.
Right.
So anybody, in fact, there's no job on this if this FDI you can say anybody can do it. Okay. Somebody will do it. So when you come to a situation of the finance minister, critical to any government, and I'm saying that the fact that I cannot file a question to my finance minister and see him come, not delegate somebody for almost 2 years, I find it completely
Those
unacceptable.
questions that were filed, were they answered by the people he sent to represent him?
Some of them were answered.
Some of them were not.
Yes.
Have you raised supplementary questions about those ones that were not answered?
Yeah, exactly. But who says that the finance minister, just because we've got deputies, I don't think he watching us today will feel comfortable that a member of parliament is saying that from the day he was appointed minister, has never been to parliament to answer a question by himself.
Okay.
Boss, I
yes,
think
sir.
it will be fair on my part to talk about this.
Right.
If
but briefly.
No, yeah, but I think it's a very serious issue because one, the finance minister is not here to respond to all these allegations. Right. So in my opinion, it's not fair. Two, if he, because he's honorable member and we all go to church and the mosque, this has been the practice where the even practices of the NDC. And when we're in opposition, our people too were complaining that even substantive ministers were refusing to even go to parliament. Okay. I am not heaping scorn on what he's saying. Okay. I'm not saying that I'm treating with contempt. Is it a genuine concern if what he's saying is true? But I also think, more importantly, we should also look at the output, the results of this present finance minister in terms of managing our primary macro indicators that has been extended into the secondary macro indicators. In fact, he is one of the best.
Is that enough excuse for him
I'm
not
not saying
to
it's
attend
excuse.
upon
If you
Parliament?
got me wrong, I'm saying that we haven't heard his part.
Okay.
Probably there could even be health issues. I'm not saying so, please, with all respect. There could be other uncontrollable factors. But whichever way, we should also look at the fact that in terms of less than 2 years, managing the primary macro indicators, which is in terms of pecking order, the number one factor, he is one of the best we have on the continent of Africa. So we should balance what he's done.
Said who?
The facts are there. Let's check all the primary macro
indicators. How do you
rate
finance ministers?
First thing, I'm coming first thing. If you inherit debt to GDP over 70%, and you're able to bring it down to 55.4.
Because of
rebasing. Oh, can I finish?
Because of
it's not rebasing. Can I finish? I'm coming. And under him, we have lending rate that was moving between 33 and 40. Now averaging is 26.
What about the borrowing?
Oh, can I come in?
Okay.
You can't talk only about borrowing when you don't talk about assets. That is wrong.
Which
that is displaying.
Which asset did you put in?
Oh, can I talk, please?
I'm not.
When you talk about
borrowing, I want you to educate me
on
the asset.
That is okay. Well, let me educate you. Whenever you are borrowing, America's debt is bigger than Ghana. So does it mean America is doing worse in terms of our economy? No, because against America's asset, and that can be just justified or confirmed by the GDP. What GDP are we having? Just check. That will tell you that even if we are borrowing, we are doing that and using the money judiciously. Check it. We borrow this, how much are we growing? You left 3.7. You know the NDC.
What asset did you add?
The asset is shown by the GDP.
No, what did you add?
So how do you measure
not
GDP?
The investment.
Unless you tell me as MP, you cannot measure GDP. Tell me. You don't understand.
Not the academic figures.
What NDC put? What is academic figures?
The academic figures.
The measurement of the GDP is just your...
The GDP. Ghana, the GDP you are inheriting is because of what?
Contempt.
Because of oil.
What is oil?
Because of oil.
But what was the non-oil growth?
Because of oil. But you didn't invest in the oil. NDC invested in the oil.
The non-oil growth was over 5%. You left 3.7.
Okay.
So what are you talking about?
Great.
Please, honorable, let's get the figures right. Boss, asking for me because that mean I think that's the essence of
finally
we knowing the truth. You are in parliament. You say oil. Okay, take away the oil. Non-oil growth was over 5%. It was more than 3.7 you left. You know NDC, the year 2000, they left the same 3.7. As if anytime they are leaving power, they only leave us with 3.7% growth.
What do you leave behind? What did you leave behind in 2008?
We moved Ghana into middle income status. We moved over 8%. Go and check. They give us 3.7. That is one thing we don't know.
On the back of HIPIC?
Of HIPIC? Oh, we had, that was 2008. Were you talking about HIPIC? We are moving beyond HIPIC.
When did we get out of HIPIC?
Oh, it's not, no, by 2008 we're in HIPIC.
Because you were not paying anything.
No,
you were not paying anything. All the period you were in government, you didn't pay anything.
You don't really understand this.
We'll move on. 020-2166-66333. That's our WhatsApp line. An interesting conversation this day. I'm sure you're enjoying yourself. Let's talk about, quick one before we get on. Is Dumso back?
To me, no.
It's not. Have your lives been going on?
I had pockets of power outages. But for about 2-3 days now, I haven't had it.
Okay.
So I think it will be hasty to say that there's Dumso is back. We need to take our time and see going forward whether it is. Because when you're talking about power outages, the sinusoidal performances of our electricity or power, I'm not justifying it. Even if it's one day, it's wrong. Anywhere in the world, it could happen due to some. But if it become consistent for so long, then we'll start getting upset. So for now, I can't say it is back or not. From the pieces of information that I've had from relevant stakeholders, I don't think it is back. So we'll have to be very patient. However, we need to caution the appropriate bodies, units in charge, that they should come clear in terms of information management for us to know as stakeholders. They owe us explanation what is actually happening. Because you know what? The most dangerous aspect is not you and I sitting here. It's about TV3. It's about the factories. It's about the production units. These things will let them go out of jail. They plan their budget. And if these things are happening, what is going to happen? So I hope and pray it's not going to be something that is going to be on us for months. I mean, like NDC's time, we had about 3-4 years.
How long does it take for you
we cannot go that way.
to be able to determine that this is doomed? So 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 days, 1 week, the light keeps going off. It's not back yet.
If it's
that's
1
what we're
day,
saying.
it's Doomso.
Okay.
But if we are back in the Doomso days means our brothers took us for about 3 years or 4 years. And you saw industries were performing, I think, negative 0.5. That's what they left with us because of the Doomso, because energy is very critical when it comes to, industries and their performances and such. If we are getting that consistently and getting for a long time, then I think one can infer.
What do you call this one? Because I remember under the NDC when the lights went off, President Mahama was fingered. It was called incompetence. It was called a wisdom problem and all of that. Is that the same that's happening now?
But I thank you. I'm asking you, President Mahama.
I don't answer questions.
So I'm answering you. President Mahama left us in power outages for over 3 years.
Okay.
So if you're having it within a week or even 2, you cannot attribute that as incompetence. No. Okay. Unless you want to do propaganda.
What is that? What do you call that?
I don't think it has
3 years. 3 years Doomso is incompetence. 2 weeks Doomso is what?
2 weeks, you cannot. Primarily, you cannot.
So what do you call it? I want you to give me a nomenclature.
So you want me to give you a nomenclature?
Yeah.
I know nomenclature in chemistry. You deal with figures. I don't know which of the figures you want me to. Or in terms of scale.
Describe it.
I don't think all over the world we have a standard scale to say this is incompetence because of Doomso. But if you have power outages for over 3 years in your country, of course, then every Tom, Dick, and Harry can justify the point that you are not competent because you are killing your industries.
So when are we to get a stabilization of the lights so that everybody is happy?
I think I said something.
Okay.
That when it comes to information access,
okay,
we have what is called asymmetric information management.
Right.
That different stakeholders have access to different pieces of relevant information.
Right.
Seriously speaking, I don't know.
Okay.
But what I know is that it is a problem that is just going to be a 9-day wonder. That is what I know.
Okay.
And it's my prayer.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm cautioning ECG, Gridco, is it the other one, Valco, and all stakeholder institutions and individuals to really be very careful, because anything that will take us into what the NDC led Ghana into is going to jeopardize our job opportunities, our industries, and we're going to go back. Look, now the economy is doing extremely well.
Gridco says there are issues with our gas. The other time we're being told by the minority that you owe money, which is why we can't get our lights on, stably.
It could be true, but if we owe money, I wouldn't be surprised per what our brothers did and left. This Amari issues and co. We all know. I don't want to go into nitty-gritty of these things. Whenever you inherit such a deplorable state, definitely it wouldn't be easy for you. That's why sometimes I wonder why people under 2 years, they talk as if the 8 years of destruction, deplorable state, unproductive debt portfolios they left for us, the situation they left us in.
Did you not bring that upon yourself when you mounted the campaign platform prior to 2016?
And that is what we are
promising
doing.
Everything.
That is everything we promise. I'm not saying we've done everything.
Okay.
But most of the things, unless maybe one doesn't want to know, check all the parameters. They are there. Look, a country such as Ghana, primary macro indicators, secondary, pro-poor policies, you're talking about your industries, you talk about securities and co. I'm not saying we are perfect, but anybody should check, try to analyze things, do trend analysis, use what we inherited as reference point, and check. If you want me to give you most of them, we have done so much work, but there are difficulties, there are challenges, and you don't build a country by the process of just, it's a process, it's not event. And under 2 years, you don't expect that we move this country from where we got it. No, but I think check everything, if we are doing well or not.
Is the government under pressure from the people to deliver these promises? Does government feel
everywhere
pressured?
in the world, even you yourself, if you set projections, you promise yourself your resolutions, they put you under pressure. But no matter what, one thing about the president is that he's very resilient.
Is the government under pressure?
I don't think so. But the government is hurriedly working hard to solve the deplorable state they left Ghana in. Because Ghana was so bad. Check what was even going on right.
Okay.
When you are having treasury bills moving over 20 in terms of per annum 90 day, about 17.5, having interest rate, even policy rate, government owned rate was about 25.5. Things were getting bad.
Okay.
I mean, nurses allowance, teachers allowance, things were getting so bad in our country, you know. Electric, everything was so bad. If you come into government, you look at national health insurance, we had to pay billions. All these things definitely will create a very Herculean task for you as a government. But we have a leader who is so resilient. In less than 2 years, where we are going, by the grace of God, by 4 years' time, we will see what is happening.
Okay.
Go to Western region and see the railway. What's
Stephen, thank you very much. Kwame, step in for me. It says Dumzo is not back. You can't say it's incompetence because the metrics are different, and we should hasten slowly. In 4 years, we will see the grace of God manifest in hard work.
The problem about this country is sometimes honesty, and then people being able to say things in the morning, repeat it in the afternoon, repeat it in the evening.
How does it come to play?
You made a very important statement here. There was a senior citizen in this country who made that comment that the problem of energy when NDC was in government was a wisdom problem. Today, that wisdom couldn't help a bank survive. That bank is gone.
How is that related?
Hold on.
Oh,
we need, I think, wisdom. Wisdom.
Stephen, allow him. Please note your point.
Wisdom.
Steve, allow him note your point. He gave you a lot of time to speak.
I don't think we need wisdom on only managing energy sector. We need wisdom in managing banks as well. And honestly,
the collapse of the bank started from you.
No,
which is why
I am not aware.
I interviewed Mr. Setekwe here, and he said that I asked him. Look, Kwame, I interviewed Mr. Setekwe here. He sat where you're sitting, and I asked him 2 questions. Does he take the blame for the collapse of the banks? He says he feels responsible, not the blame. And if he didn't feel responsible, he wouldn't have gone to take some bond, to try and salvage the banks in an election year.
When you run a country, you run it with the assets and liabilities. You don't take the assets and then ignore the liabilities. Today, we have taken bonds as well, but the banks have collapsed. So who is more competent? If Tekpe took a bond to save the banks, what prevented this government from doing so and saving the banks? But let's go to what the facts are.
Energy.
Well, let's go to energy.
Okay.
Indeed, my brother was right when he said that for 3 years into the last NDC administration, we had serious challenges with energy. In fact, part of the reason the GDP he mentioned was that way was partly because of the energy problem we had. But significantly, the government resolved all that. By the time we were handing over power, we were rather being accused of overcapacity in our energy generation. We didn't only build plants, we created the fuel that will be used. So he invested heavily, and today, Atuabo can give us gas that will power some of the plants. We further went to develop the 10 fields, the other 2, which include Sankofa and Co., which today give us almost 200,000 barrels of oil. And if you read this budget, the finance minister is saying he's projecting $1 billion oil revenue alone for investing no cedi. Today, we are told that we have so much gas that we probably wouldn't need to buy one scarf, one scarf of gas to power any plant. But guess what? Just to do the connectivity and develop the other assets so that we utilize our gas, they are postponing the development of that to go and import gas because somebody wants to get his business part out of it.
When it
comes, yes, let me go. When it comes to
that's a very wild one to say.
Let me say that.
How do you know that somebody is looking for 10%?
I didn't use 10%. These days we are told it's more than 10%.
Okay.
So you are being generous. What I am saying is that when you did not invest one cedi, a previous government invested and handed over 3 oil wells to you. That you have put in this budget that you get $1 billion from oil revenue alone, which the previous government didn't get. And you are so hopelessly incompetent that you can't even just collect this money and fix the energy problem. I'm coming to give you some of the issues we have. We should never have energy problem in this country for the next 50 years because the investments we made, not only in the generation plants, but the fuel should cut off Dumsor forever. I'm telling you for a fact. Because we have generation capacity more than what we need. 2,100 megawatts, and we've got more than that. We've got more than that. So let's go to Dumsor. You see, I said something. When my brother was trying to talk about this, you see, the guy who has got light off this morning, the factory who is off this morning, wouldn't listen to my brother saying that he wouldn't call it Dumsor. The fact is that there's Dumsor around. And what is
even if it's one day, it's unacceptable.
Let me give you this. One of the ways we attempted to solve the problem of the finance sector based on what the energy sector owes them, because you see all these players in the energy sector owe the banks, was to institute the ESLA, energy sector levies, which was supposed to basically deal with some of the challenges of indebtedness to these sectors. That had a sunset clause, which means that by the close of 2017, it should have been taken off. In opposition, they said they were going to take it off. Now, they have come not to use the ESLA to solve the problem in the energy sector. They have gone to use the ESLA as a collateral to borrow for the next 10 years.
Is that what is making the light go on and off?
They took the money and did not use the money to solve the problem in the energy sector. So what do we have today?
What problem was there to solve?
We owe ACG owes so much money to the chain of how do you call it, the value chain. ECG, we are told, owes almost 2 billion Ghana cedi in terms of what they ought to have paid to the various people. And I'm saying that today, if we are saying that we can't have enough gas to power some of the plants, as we speak, Asogli is running below capacity. How do you call it? Almost all of them, except maybe Ameri. And I'm sure sometimes when MPP want to talk about Ameri, they look into the room and find out.
Stephen didn't do that.
No, he mentioned it. That's why I wrote it down.
Yes.
I wish
he said Ameri, but he didn't look around to talk about it.
Yes, because
straight.
This was one of the most gargantuan ways of fleecing the state. They intended to steal money from the state using this. No wonder.
The Ameri that you brought in the first instance, remember there were questions about how much was involved. The company who was giving it up.
Our back was to the wall. We needed to deploy, and indeed, it's a world record of deployment of emergency power. What we did to stop Dumsor, it was a world record. So you can argue, and I would accept that some of the rates were rates that even in procurement, when you say somebody should accelerate in construction, what you are telling him is like, do whatever it takes, even if it adds a little bit of cost. But what they were trying to do was to, instead of waiting for Ameri deal to expire naturally for us to own the thing, they were attempting to fleece this country with almost $1.2 billion by handing this plant to themselves. I'm told they will still bring it to Parliament. We are waiting for that. But to conclude, why I think we should never have Dumsor is this. When you have ESLA giving you 3.5 billion cedis, there shouldn't be anybody owed money in that sector who owes the bank, based on which the bank will say that I will not give you more money to go and...
They say you owe money, which is why we're not getting the gas some debt that they took over from you and they're trying to settle.
Debt? Look, when you get $3.5 billion, 3.5 billion Ghana cedi a year from ESLA alone for doing nothing, and you earn $1 billion a year from oil fields, which you did nothing. You borrowed 50 billion, and I'm saying that it will take a hopeless government to be able to have all these monies and
hopelessly.
In fact, I don't know if I have to maybe times 3. He's a science person. You have the money, my brother. Free SHS last year was 400 million. This year will be 1 billion. So if you borrow 50 billion, I don't know how to break this down in 3. If you have $1 billion, if you have 3.5 billion Ghana cedis, tell me you can't even pay the debtors in the energy sector. So to the extent that we should be back in Doomso, and you are blaming the previous government.
Doomso is not back. That's what government says.
What do you mean by Doomso is not back? My light goes off. You tell me it's not Doomso because MPP will say
erratic power supply. There's a difference, is there not?
My brother, this country is going down the drain. You see, when you have a situation,
is it going down the drain?
When you have a situation where the trotro driver is paying more for spare parts, is paying more for fuel, if depending on the size of his vehicle, you pay more in terms of that obnoxious tax called luxury car vehicle tax, and you tell me that you come and sit on television and do the cosmetic ones and say that lending rate is this and that. If lending rate were actually good, but those the banks would make more money, and the banks wouldn't be.
Anyway, when we come back from the break, Stephen, I will have a chance to rebut, and then we'll take a break now. Yes. Welcome back, and thank you very much indeed. The conversation is still ongoing in studio here. My guests are still Stephen Amo of Maslock and Honorable Kwame Agboja. He is a member of parliament for Adaklu. I call him Adaklu Mezaya. Steve, let me give you a chance to rebut quickly, and then we'll move on to another. Yes, sir.
I always say this, not because I'm an angel. I make mistake. In fact, in 3 years, you need a form buffo.
Okay.
So I'm not perfect. But if you're a member of parliament, and you're speaking, you swear an oath, you believe there is God, know what you say to the people, because either you are blessed or cursed by your facts and your incorrect statement. Boss, let me ask you, Ghana is breaking down. When now a nurse, a teacher going to school who had no parent can be given allowance, Ghana is collapsing. He's a member of parliament. He should tell the whole world that under MPP, importation of spare parts, we have not removed the import levy on it. Importation of some specialized medicines that are not produced in Ghana, we don't tax them. He should tell us whether the 40% tax on fuel since March last year, we have not reduced that to 26%. He should tell us if all these are not factual. You're talking about collapsing, Jesus Christ. If under Nana to Dankwa we have injected, he should tell the Ghanaians, if I'm lying, over about 10 billion cedis into the banking sector to restore it when you and your government looted and destroyed these banks. Is he not aware? Do we think there's no God? Please, I mean, ordinary person can be saying all these things. But I am surprised when we look, generation of electricity. Check all times, we've had a capacity. But sometimes because of liquidity crisis, these and so other things happened, and it happened under them over 3 years. If we like go and pull the first budget statement under NDC, not the first one under Rollins, just the previous one, what they said about the energy strike, things that we have done under MPP, go and check. I'll look for the document and bring. Now you are saying that MPP government had not invested anything in the oil sector. When even the juvenile, the child, a child under 10 can tell you that it was MPP government that invested heavily to ensure that we got commercial quantity of oils in Ghana here, and they came and enjoyed the proceeds. You know, under NDC, just the previous one, they got money than any other government. Go and check, go and Google. They are there. In terms of oil proceeds, we never had. In terms of cocoa, in terms of all the minerals, go and check. Gold and other things. They borrowed over 100 billion. Go and check. And go and check what they did.
Okay.
They left us with 3.7. So please, all that I'm saying is that you can't just be here and be throwing dust in the eyes of the Ghanaian community and say that MPP did this. Look, if MPP government borrowed money to put into electricity or any other area and they did not use, don't we have committees in parliament these sectors. Is the committee not comprising NDC? So what have they done? What have they raised? You just don't come on TV and say things that you know they are not true.
Okay.
Probably Honorable is
Steve.
displaying his ego trips, or maybe he's suffering from unconscious incompetence, because what he's saying, I'm so much surprised that a member of parliament, look, if that is the case, he should bring the facts and figures. He should quote figures, A compared to Nanado, B compared to Nanado. You know the reason President Mahama will continue to be incompetent? He has never ever shown remorse in terms of the way he took this country, where he took this country to. So, member of parliament, please come next time. Let's bring our figures. All the parameters, all the indicators are there. Let's check everything. If under MPP, you know it's by our fraternity that a Ghanaian child can be in school from KG, primary, JHS to SHS. We implemented the FKIP 1992 constitution. NDC was in power 8 years. They could not, because they mess up our economy.
Thank you very much. So for you, Ghana is not going down the drain. We need to
bring the figures. You want to quote? Why can't we use the figures? Let's use the figures.
I want to separate my religious beliefs from this. Ghanaians.
No, it's important.
Ghanaians.
God is in everything.
He wants to choose.
No. God is in everything.
Did not elect.
So for this one, you can lie.
If Ghanaians,
you are lying.
If Ghanaians wanted,
just say, God, I'm sorry for lying to Ghanaians.
If Ghanaians wanted to elect a religious person to lead this country, I swear to God, it will never have been president.
Oh, that's not fair.
Hold
on. Stephen, hold on. Kwame, hold on. You would have to withdraw that. No. On this platform, no.
My brother,
please.
I'm surprised.
Withdraw that
statement. My brother, I am saying.
Kwame, no.
I am saying.
Kwame, no.
My brother, do you know how to comport yourself from program?
Kwame, no.
When you were speaking, I was mute.
Stephen, hold on.
Why are you insulting the president?
Stephen, hold on. Allow me to do my job.
Go and read Nsankuma, who says insulting a president.
Kwame Abuja, please.
Give me the chance. Let me explain.
No.
Withdraw the fact that if Ghanaians wanted to
withdraw on this platform, I beg you. For the president,
my brother.
Kwame,
don't push me to do anything I don't believe in.
Kwame Abuja, slow down.
No, God has forgiven him. God has
okay, what have I said? Which is an insult to the president? Say it.
You're saying that if Ghanaians are looking for a religious person to lead them, they would never have voted for President Akufo-Addo. I'm saying the president is not here to speak for himself.
Member of parliament?
I am
my brother. Is the president the most religious person in this country?
In as much as we disassociate ourselves from that statement, we want you to withdraw.
No, my brother. I don't think that referring to the president as not the most religious person, we have the chief imam, we have the Catholic bishops. I am saying that if the Ghanaians wanted a religious person, they would have taken even my pastor at church. What is the insult about that? I accept.
So you can come.
I accept TV3. I accept TV3 feels that the president is the most religious person. That is your cup of tea. I don't believe he's the most religious.
We don't have the metrics to decide. Somebody's religiosity cannot be.
He's lying. Show the kind of person he is.
My brother.
Member of parliament.
My brother.
You can lie. Could you just
let me leave the studio so that you have him alone?
Hold on, Stephen.
Please. You know I'm not talking.
Please, no, you are talking.
Right now.
Allow him to speak. You have
I'm sure Sunday he will ask for forgiveness.
You have had your chance to speak. It's okay.
All right, thank you.
Allow him to also have his chance. Thank you very much.
But before you go on, I can guarantee you, when he begins to speak, I would interject.
No, don't.
No. Because you see,
Stephen, you are doing that again.
He asked for figures.
Okay.
No, don't cut me, please.
Yes,
please.
I'm not cutting you.
He said, I've said things which are not true. My brother. Indeed.
Stephen, allow me.
Indeed.
Can you put off Stephen's microphone for me?
I'm not talking.
But you are.
Okay, sorry.
My brother, today, is the price of fuel more expensive than ever before? Yes. So what is he talking about? The taking tax off? It's a price of...
Would have been much more expensive. Would have been about 6 cities.
Thank you. No follow. Give me a message. Let's see what's on the panel.
So we have some opinions here from our viewers. And AU Farouk from Tamale, he's saying, good morning to you and to your able panelists. Indeed, the police is gradually losing its credibility these days, abusing their powers on the innocent people. The IGP must wake up. I think that message is for the IGP. Also, Aziz Donla from Wa, it is sad to notice that infections, threatening lives of premature babies in our various healthcare units. It's very disturbing and worrying. As a developing nation, we cannot set our priorities right at this time. But you will see leaders siphoning taxpayers' money to the expense of the ordinary civilians. It is sad and worrying. Good morning to all UDS lecturers in Wa campus. That's Aziz Donla and Tahir Ibrahim from Yipambongu. Mr. Government, I think he means Mr. President, tried to reduce the number of ministries. In fact, some of them are causing financial loss to the nation. I believe this is the number of ministers, and it's a record though. Also, good morning to all 3 News viewers. I want to ask a question, and this question to the politicians of this country. Why is education of this country being treated like we are forced to adopt it? Also, good morning to everyone. Politicians don't have any mind to solve any problem of the youth of this country, because if you look at what is happening in every day and you realize that they only think about themselves. Also, 2019 budget from Al-Hassan Wanwana in Wa. He's saying the budget that was presented to the August House and to the good people of Ghana was the budget that speaks to the needs of hard-working Ghanaians and reflects the government's commitment to building human capital through improvements in health and education. It promotes our commitment to the sustainable development goals and takes fundamental steps towards Ghana beyond aid, and also enable us to face the future with confidence. Good morning, everyone. Politicians do not have any mind. I think we already took that. Also, Tahiru Ibrahim from Yipambongu. I don't think the Minister of Energy is telling Ghanaians the truth, because there has been power outages every single day. Mr. President, the people of Yipambongu want you to come and connect the community to the national grid. You can't deceive us by way of bringing poles. We want light, Mr. Government, and that's what we have.
Okay, we want light. That's it. Let's make your closing thoughts. Stephen, I'd like for you to be quiet when Kwame speaks. I beg you. I beg you. Thank you very much, Stephen. Gideon Hammond, good morning to you, Ablekuma South, and you're doing the watching. Kwame, closing thoughts.
There was an issue raised by my colleague, Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa, and then Honorable, my other colleague, the Information Minister, sought to give the impression that we lied, or my colleague lied. My brother, this is Appendix 7 in the constitution presented by the finance minister. I wish the camera can capture it. What is the figure there for 2019?
1,614.
So if my colleague says that government intends to increase the number of presidential staffers to this, if they didn't intend to increase it, why did they put it in the budget?
Office of Government Machinery, that's what I read here.
Exactly.
But that has 19 different agencies.
My brother, the Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa never gave a breakdown. And indeed, they told that they would get only about 940 something. But we know by now, even in 2017, that has been increased by 46 or so. So exactly where did Honorable Ablakwa lied about this? I mean, when government put things in their budget and come around and say that we don't mean it, you go and...
The government said it's reducing, it's working at reducing the numbers by 2019. 69 people will be...
You see, these are the kind of things they say, and when you say it, somebody will say you insult. If you had less than 1,000 in 2018, and in 2019 you are putting in the budget 1,600, what kind of reduction is this? What kind of reduction is this? You come to Parliament, you say you want to do a website for 600,000. When they asked you, they said, oh, it was 4,000. You said you want to build a 6-unit classroom block for 700,000. When we asked you, you said it was a typographical mistake. What kind of government is this? Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa, the minority, never lied. If they are looking for facts, tell the finance minister and the information minister the data did not come from Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa. It's Appendix 7 in their own budget, and it's clearly written there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Stephen, you have the final thought. And Gideon wants me to ask you, he says, upon all the borrowing by this MPP government, our capital expenditure to GDP ratio as a country is just 1.7% in 2018. And this is a decline from 4.5 in 2016. What does the government have to show? Not even a hencoup. Which asset is Stephen talking about? Gideon is asking.
I'll have his number and send the routes.
The details.
After that, send the routes that we have done and started doing. Go and check.
Right.
We've done a lot. If we haven't done anything at all, when it comes to policies in Ghana here, it is unprecedented. 2 years of income. Unprecedented, not even first MPP.
Are you bloating the number at the government machinery or office of the president?
Let me ask, is it office of government machinery that my honorable learned member is talking about?
Lawyer, I'm just
Mr. Member.
Sorry. Say learned, so lawyers don't
take
all
it's not only lawyers that
they think they own it, so me, I'm not.
Let me say
what I read was Office of Government Machinery.
Exactly. So it's not presidential staff.
1,614.
So let's try to distinguish between the two. Office of Government Machinery, even Maslow, is an Office of Government Machinery.
It has always been.
Yes. So we need to try and understand that presidential staffer, in a way, is different from Office of Government Machinery staffer. That is a broader picture. But in any case, what I know is that 2018, it was about 1,697. Talking about 2019, 1,640, difference of about 83. And it's because there has been closure of some units within even the presidency. And also those who are going on retirement, we are not replacing them. Look, when it comes to Akufo-Addo, let's face it.
President Akufo-Addo.
Oh, you know he's president, and you were saying all those things.
Stephen, move on.
Putting up those Cassie Abrant and antisocial behaviors, member of parliament.
Is that to suggest that
you know the word to use against President Mahama on this program?
Is that to suggest that?
Let me come in, please. So
you said we stole money.
I thought you said you shouldn't talk when I'm talking.
You said we stole money and collapsed the banks. I wrote it down here. You said we stole money and I wrote it down.
I said he stole. You see, the money that was stolen under his government.
Okay.
I think the vocabulary staff.
The money that was stolen under his government.
Don't throw in windows, I beg you.
You see, we cannot be boss. We cannot go dirty.
Kwame, don't go dirty.
Boss,
you have dressed nicely. Why don't you go dirty yourself?
I
can be
when I make that
and say
statement,
things.
I'm making that statement with reference to courts of competent jurisdiction. I'm not speculating.
Okay, Stephen,
so
move on.
All that I'm saying is that talking about staff, I'm begging the Ghanaian media. You're doing so much work, but I'm just begging. Because if I come and speak, they will say MPP. If you speak, they will say NDC. Go and check our budget expenditure on issues of the presidency under NDC and under MPP. Go and check. 2, let's see in terms of productivity, in terms of resource, in terms of output. Between
110 ministers, are we feeling it?
What's it?
110 ministers, are we feeling it?
111.
So I'm saying that go and check
Mr. Host, it's not
the amount of money I'm coming.
Correct yourself.
It's 111.
Yes.
Boss, whatever the number is, I beg you. Why won't you go and check if a government has 110 or 11?
No, 111. No.
Okay, 111. As he's talking about. If it's so.
But you don't know it's 111.
Okay.
Thank
you very much.
That's not fair. If you do, that's not fair. Let me finish.
I'm giving you.
But he's worrying me. Stop him too.
If
the government does that, and at the end of the day, Ghanaians see productivity, and we spend less. They use the so-called lesser number or less number, and they spend more and less productivity. GDP growth 3.7. We have moved beyond 8. Which one makes sense?
What's the price of fuel?
Which one makes sense?
What is
the tax on it now?
Stephen,
what is the price of fuel?
Stephen, thank you. Stephen, you are a mathematician. If more
per liter.
Stephen, you are a mathematician. Stephen, you are a mathematician. If more,
1 liter 6 cedis.
Stephen, if more, you are
less divide. If less, more divide.
Thank you. Stephen Amoa is the boss at Maslock. Thank you very much, Stephen, for your Monday morning. Grateful. We'll talk about that later. Kwame Agboja, Honorable, is the Member of Parliament for Adaklu constituency. And he's joined us. Thank you, gentlemen, for your Monday morning. We're grateful. And thank you for watching. We'll be back with some more here. Welcome back. And let's talk about inclusive education, because it's been a subject that's dear to our hearts. Now, this conversation is made possible by the support of Star Ghana with funding from the UK Aid and the European Union as well. I've been joined by Kofi Asare. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, sir.
The conversation about inclusivity. And I want us to first of all look at Samuel Abogazigle's story from the University of Cape Coast. We put up a story earlier about how he was having difficulty accessing his lecture halls. 1 year down the line, what has happened? Let's take a look at the story. When we return, we'll get into a conversation. Hannah Waji as well will join us over the phone line. Matilda Benyaga will also join us over the phone line. We'll have a comprehensive conversation about the including children with disability in our educational system.
Although there is an elevator in the Samjona Library at the University of Cape Coast, it was not always operational, and Samuel Abogazigli had to go through the challenge of descending down to access ICT services. Now, the situation is quite different. The elevator has been fixed, and my cameraman and I were able to use the facility. Samuel and others in his condition can now access both basement and upper floors of the university library as the elevator remains operational. He says his classes have also been arranged downstairs.
First of all, I would like to thank TV3 and Spirit Lab Foundation for making this thing possible for me. After the journey to the West, they have made sure everything is in place for me. My lectures, they have moved it from top floor to ground floor, where I'm able to access that place. I'm very glad about it.
Samuel reported late to school in the 2018-19 academic year, but according to him, management of the superannuation hostel arranged a suitable accommodation for him. His social life on campus has seen a dramatic improvement. He's now a member of the campus badminton team comprising of staff members and some students of the university.
From the journey to the West, I decided not to sit there to relax, and I have to find something to do, like do some games, and I've initiated myself in playing badminton, which is very good for me, and it has also motivated me to do extra. I'm a beginner, but I'm trying to make to the top, like praying for the national badminton, para badminton. I'll be glad if I get a call up to play for the national para badminton. The wheelchair is not okay for this game, so I'm pleading to the general public to come to my aid, get me a wheelchair which is meant for playing badminton, and I think it will improve my confidence and it will improve my game too.
The stigma has reduced, with more people embracing him for who he is, making him gain more confidence. But Samuel needs a proper wheelchair to enable him negotiate his movement in the game and to also move around with ease. Although the university is doing its best to make life comfortable for students with disability, there's more room for improvement as far as accessibility is concerned. To help achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which pushes for access to education and equal rights for all, the University of Cape Coast would need to make the campus more disability friendly. Spencer Kobnabuati Mensah, TV3 News, Cape Coast.
And you know, Cape Coast is the citadel of education in the Republic of Ghana. Let's now go on to the conversation with Kofi Asare, the member of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Chief, good morning one more time.
Good morning,
this is a success story. How does it pan out to you?
I think it is a good step. It's that very, very important first step in ensuring that our institutions are disability friendly. As you may be aware, Ghana is a signatory to the SDGs, and we've committed to ensuring that there is inclusiveness and equity in the provision of education and educational opportunities.
Right.
And so, if at the tertiary level, efforts are being made to ensure that students with disabilities are actually being mainstream, or if the school environment at the tertiary level is being made conducive to enhance the participation of students with learning disabilities or physical disabilities. And obviously is that right step that we need to take, which is being actually taken by the university.
Do we see government making headway, because we've been having this conversation for a long time, do we see headway in government's commitment towards ensuring inclusivity?
Inclusive education, I must admit, in as much as it is a necessity, it is a very expensive venture.
Okay.
I'm saying so because if you look at the percentage of people or students with various disabilities, about 2%.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you look at the range of disabilities that occasion such students, you know, it ranges from students with physical disabilities to mental disabilities to learning difficulties. You know, there's a wide range of disabilities, and ensuring that all these people with these deficits are brought on board and have equal access to educational opportunities is not an easy task. However, it is also not an impossible task. What we have seen in Ghana here is that normally you will find that there's a good policy, very nice policy on paper. Then it is launched. We were here when the inclusive education policy was launched in 2016. Yeah. But if you go to the schools now, especially at the basic and secondary level, or if you go to the basic schools and find out the extent to which the policy is being implemented, you will begin to find that the bottom line is resources. If you go to the special education division of the Ghana Education Service, that entity is directly responsible for implementing most of the inclusive education interventions, especially those that have to do with disabilities. Okay. That division is woefully, in fact, it is the most underfunded division in the Ghana Education Service.
Let's talk about funding some more. And the district assemblies are supposed to have a certain percentage, some 3%, sorry about that, for persons with disability. That should include education. Do we see that inculcated in the budget for the district assemblies? Do we see it?
You see, it is not as easy as it is. The system, the current architecture of our educational system, especially our basic education system as it is now, makes it difficult for the district assembly to play certain key roles.
How so?
Because the Ghana Education Service has a headquarters, a regional headquarters, and a district headquarters. And the district director responds to the director general and not the district assembly. So it becomes quite difficult for you to expect the assembly to play a certain pioneering role in basic education where they are not directly they're directly responsible for providing education in the district.
But if you find schools within the district, those schools will be under the purview of the district chief executive.
No. Education in the district currently is under the management of the Ghana Education Service. Director General, the district director. The district director does not respond to or report to the district executive nor the district coordinating director. They report to the regional director and then to the director general in Accra. And so there is some incongruous relationship in terms of accountability and responsibility. It is difficult for you to hold district assemblies responsible for educational outcomes when you haven't given them the power. One, to recruit.
What power are we talking about? Are you talking about the mode of instruction, the pedagogical approach, or we're talking, because if there's a problem, for example, at the Kanda Estate cluster of schools regarding sanitation, I won't go to the Ghana Education Service. I'll go to the sub-metro to ask a question about it. Are we talking about assigning teachers, classrooms, and the rest, which is what you're talking about? Because the school, as I know it, will be under the purview of the district assembly. Perhaps I'm wrong.
I'm talking about the power to take decisions. As the system remains now, decision-making power rests with the Ghana Education Service headquarters and not the district assembly. He who takes decisions must account
I can't hold you accountable for decisions that you do not take.
Okay.
That is what I'm talking about.
But if you take decisions and it impacts my district, I should be able to have a conversation with you and ask you questions.
No. Well, you can ask me questions, but I am not responsible because the outcomes of your decision cannot be attributed to me.
How do you solve this?
The solution is that we have an education law which says that devolve the management of education to the districts.
Okay.
Let the district directors of education or the GS office in the district report to the district assembly through their system.
Okay.
So that education will be devolved, decisions will be taken at the district level. Then we can hold district assemblies responsible for educational outcomes. But I'm coming to the point.
Okay.
You mentioned that why won't DAs, district assemblies, use a part of the common fund?
Absolutely.
The one for the disabled people.
The 3%.
Exactly.
Okay.
To support children with disabilities in the schools.
Right.
It is not for the district assemblies to determine what that money should be used for. It is for the persons with disabilities association in the district. Okay. They determine their priority.
Okay.
So the law says that there must exist an association of PWDs in the district. And then they should have a priority documented. Based on that priority, the assembly, they have to convince the assembly that this is a priority we want to do that will enhance our social economy, that will enhance every aspect of their existence in the district. Based on that, the funds will be released for them. So that decision will have to be taken by the PWDs. But then,
in assessing those funds, the Federation or Association, whichever it is, of persons with disability, would have to come for an interview at the district assembly to justify why they need X amount of money for Y project, correct?
Exactly.
So if you come and the district holds it dear to its heart to have some funds for persons with children with disability in schools, and they have a dialogue, they certainly can have a dialogue around the table, can't they?
They can. It is not impossible. There must be consensus. The initiative will have to be taken either by the PWDs or the assembly. But these initiatives, you see, what we are discussing is way beyond students with physical disabilities. Way beyond that. Many times, unfortunately, when we mention children with learning disabilities, we quickly think about people who are physically challenged. No. That is a very myopic view of a very big issue.
That's immediate. For example, this young lady at West African Secondary
School. It is immediate because
it
is immediate because it is easily visible, right?
It is immediate because it affects the future of many, including her.
No,
not just visible.
I'm being honest. It is the compelling aspect of that is because it is visible.
Absolutely.
Yes. Probably about only 5% of disabilities are visible.
So she's getting ready to write her WASI, for example. There's no special software. We know Miss Bedue and how she's been able to, make a mark globally. For this little girl at Miss Agbenyega at West African Secondary School, Portia Gabo has been following the story. We don't know if, we have a software yet for her to be able to write her SSC or WASI easily so. But she's gone through all the 3 years of education. That certainly should be of concern to you, shouldn't it?
Of course it is. It is not her situation per se, but all children with cerebral palsy. Because we know that 1 in every 300 children in Ghana here has cerebral palsy.
Right.
So it is not something very, very, very abstract. It is something we are living with.
Right.
And it is a medical condition. It is a brain condition. So the approach should be both the medical aspect and then also the educational support aspect. Obviously, she will need some support to be able to write the exam. I am told that there was a promise or there was a commitment made by a government.
Right, following the story we did to develop a software.
Yes.
Do we know what progress we've made? We're trying to get on the phone line to speak with Madame Amina Echan of the Ghana Education Service.
I think Madame Amina Echan is the one who will be in the right position to tell us.
But you work with the coalition. Has it come to your attention?
I mentioned to you earlier that the most underfunded division of the Ghana Education Service is the Special Education Division.
Right.
Okay? Over the past 15 years. That has been our approach to special education. And so if you go to that department, you realize that all the operations, almost all, are always supported by NGOs.
Have they been explaining why, government been explaining why they are not committed to spending much on
obviously
special unit?
Well, we all know. We know.
Mental, physical education.
We know that in the past decade, our governments have been fixated with access and not quality. We know that. We know that governments are happy when they announce outcomes on numbers.
Okay.
So it's always about access, you know, but you only talk about people with learning disabilities when you begin to talk about quality. You begin to talk about how inclusive is your access.
Okay.
To what extent, you know, then you talk about equity and inclusion.
Right.
Equity and inclusion is now being put on the front burner for the first time.
Okay.
It has been a relegated issue. Right. It wasn't a priority. Okay. But it is time for government to walk the talk. There's now a policy. The policy was championed by development partners.
Right.
We know that. It was championed by development partners.
Yes, sure.
Everything is championed by DPs, right? Now, when DPs champion policies, okay, governments have to demonstrate ownership of them and then fund them, and not to expect INGOs and the same DPs to fund the government departments and agencies responsible for personalizing the policies.
Is government being irresponsible in this instance?
I'm not saying so. But what I'm saying is that
But
you can't compare.
If the conditions are there, if development partners will come and do research, develop a policy, push for it, advocate for it, district assemblies cannot be directly in charge, the special unit is not properly funded, all of these issues exist, and the problems are staring us in the face, and we're only paying lip service. Can we say government is being irresponsible as far as inclusive education is concerned?
Government in the past and present have been irresponsive. They have not been adequately responsive to the needs of persons with disabilities.
Okay.
I mean, 715. What happened to the Persons with Disability Act? Act 715. It was passed over 12 years ago.
Right.
Even the LI is still not in place.
Absolutely.
But we know that the LI for the Officer of the Special Prosecutor and LI for other laws that were passed just a month ago are being rushed, right? Exactly, yes. So if the LI for the Persons with Disability Act, Act 715, is still a mirage after more than 12 years of its passage, then it tells you the extent to which our government in the past and present have the political will to support persons with disabilities. But the point I want to make here is that, can you compare the approach to supporting special education or children with learning disabilities to the free senior high school? Can you?
Tell me.
You can't. The difference is that one is a policy that was hatched, that was conceived by government. Okay.
That's a manifesto promise.
Exactly. So it is owned. The ownership is unquestionable. The commitment is unquestionable because it was hatched, it was conceived, homegrown. But when it comes to most of the educational policies that are actually, they are actually initiated by development partners because it is a reminder to us that you committed to SDG 4. SDG or
Goal 4.
It started from the MDG era. MDG era before the SDG. So you couldn't meet this target under the MDG. Now we are going to SDG. So you need to do this. For those ones, you find that when those policies are passed, the ownership and the political will to actually resource the policies and make it operational is normally lacking.
What do you say to those who, your critics who say that perhaps you have not mounted a lot of pressure on government, Special Mothers Project, the Coalition on Education, and all the bodies, the stakeholders, you have not mounted enough pressure on government to say, bring this to bear? Because in the case of free SHS, you find that every single stakeholder is saying, well, send it to my do it and let's see. But in this case, you have not mounted enough pressure. What do you say?
I think I must be honest to admit that to an extent, very little advocacy has gone into inclusive education in Ghana. I mentioned that it wasn't a priority. I didn't say that it wasn't a priority for only government. Even for CSOs. There were very few people, organizations that were doing frontline policy advocacy for PWDs or for that matter, inclusive education. But now that we've been able to get to the point where there's a policy, in the context of the operational plan of the policy, civil society organizations like NEC should engage government and put pressure on government to make sure that that policy is implemented. I know there are other very pressing, policies that need to be implemented by government. The fear is that because issues of disability affect about 1.8% of children in school. People normally think that you are making noise because how many people have dysphagia? How many people have dyslexia? How many people have dysgraphia? How many people have difficulty in learning, reading, and writing? But even if 2% of our children in school have difficulties in writing, reading, and doing arithmetics, it is an issue because you find that most of the supply in the rural areas.
So you've tried dialogue for many years. It doesn't seem to work. Will you try demonstrations? Will you go to court?
No, we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Why?
Gotten to the
Why
point where
after 10, 12 years you haven't gotten to that point?
Those years there was no policy. The dialogue was to push through for a policy to be developed, and we achieved that late 2016.
Mr. Asare, the flow is that you have a law, okay? Out of the law emanates policy. Out of policy emanates implementation. That's the order. You have had the law for 12 years. You have had all of this for a long time. If the policy is there and yet you don't have an L under the policy, how do you activate your rights under the law?
What delayed the rights of disabled, not only to education, but in general development, social development? What delayed that right, was the LI. The strategy of waiting for LIs to be developed before aggressive advocacy is embarked on, I think hasn't worked well.
Right.
It wasn't worth it waiting all this while for the LI. And as we speak now, the LI, there are many laws in Ghana without LIs. There are many laws, even the Education Act, the current Act 778, the education law. Right. Where's the LI? There's no LI. So if we knew that we didn't need an LI to do any aggressive advocacy for PWDs, we wouldn't have waited all this while. But what I'm saying is that in the absence of an LI, we've been able to get political commitment in the form of a policy, which is the inclusive education policy, which has clearly spelled out benchmarks.
Which policy is not being implemented on many fronts? For example,
it is a new policy.
In the matter of creche and kindergarten education, for example, it's not been taken care of. Nearly everybody gets up and starts at kindergarten, but we know those are the most critical years of the child, the formative years. The basic, if you get the foundation wrong, everything is wrong. You go to most of these nursery schools and kindergarten schools, and there are stark illiterates who are teaching the children how to read and write. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
In early childhood, we know that you know how early childhood.
So they go to school. They go to school. They say a few rhymes. They eat. They bath for them. They sleep.
They don't even go to school because government does not run creches. The basic system starts from the age 4.
Yes.
So until you are 4, you have to find a private school to attend. You understand?
Right.
I did a survey from Somenya to Adenta. I couldn't find one government nursery. All the creches there are privately owned.
And this policy that you're talking
and they are
about,
expensive.
this law, this policy doesn't solve this problem. And you think that the policy is right?
No, this inclusive policy doesn't directly solve this in the sense that inclusive.
But this is the problem. There's a big problem.
No, there are other policies that take care of this. Because in the past we have put the management of creches and those things under the Department of Social Welfare. Remember the 31st December days?
Right.
Yeah. And then there is a sudden migration. I mean, there's a gradual migration of all those early childhood care education systems onto the genius. So now, for instance, nurseries, kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2, they are part of the basic education setup.
Kofi Asare, thank you very much indeed for your time. We'll have some more conversation. Kofi Asare is with the Ghana National Coalition on Education Campaign Coalition. Thank you very much, Kofi, for your time. We're grateful. This conversation has been made possible by Star Ghana with funding from the European Union and Danida. Let's go now to Noam Fallon. She's got some more messages for you. Hello, Noam.
Hello, Johnny. Thank you. Well, let's look at some of these messages here. There's one coming in from Emilia in Asawasi, and she's saying, so teachers of colleges of education are on strike and nothing is done about it. Not even all media houses talking about it. Wow. I pity this country of ours where favoritism is the order of the day. Greetings to all social democrats. Also, Dumso has affected our studies for the past 3 weeks and is still not getting any better in KNUST. Our Dumso record need not be like that of NDC before you earn the title incompetence. That's the dreaded Dumso still happening. Hello, Johnny. Good morning. Please tell Aboza to stop bragging and come back to his deprived district because we are suffering in terms of road and potable water. Also, please ask Kwame either he visits his district and he's asking parliamentarians to be present in parliament. You are all incompetent leaders. That's the opinion of viewer. Hamza Bolga, I think our MPs should be more committed to the House of Parliament to enable the country develop. Another one, good morning TV3, who said Dumso is not back. Dusom, he spells it, is back 100% in Sogakope. In every week we experience Dumso every single day, and Dumso is back. That's coming from Emmanuel, and he's in Sogakope. Also, good morning, TV3. NABCO. When at all are we going to be posted to our various places of work? Since we are supposed to start work on the 1st of November, and we are yet to be posted, are we going to be paid? That's coming from Ativo David. He's worried about his NABCO postings. Also, good morning, TV3. NPP have borrowed in 20 months more than 40 million Ghana cedis and still no infrastructural development because of this elephant-sized government. That is why they have borrowed for consumption. In fact, this nation, he thinks this nation is doomed. That's from Osman Bukurisong in Tamale. Also, Honorable Agboza should know that Ghanaians no longer have short memory. Tell us only 2 major things that you're able to do for we, the people, at the clue for the past 8 years that you have been in power. You have taken us for granted for far too long. You laid embargo for the past 8 years. You have caused much financial loss. Also, the Honorable Minister, when we have enough generation capacity with enough debts, what is the input? Common maths taught us 1 minus 1 equal to 0. So my fellow opposition NDC members should know that this simple math and stop the empty boasting. Good morning, TV3. That's Joel from JEK in Sogakope.
Interesting thoughts and comments there. Well,
interesting.
I get the sense that people are not happy about what the government has described as the return of Dumso.
Yes.
And what the opposition and some others are saying, well, this is, if it quacks like a duck
and walks
and
like a duck, it definitely is a duck.
Okay, well, let's take a break. When we return, there's more here on Newday. Welcome back, and we're wrapping up. On first day, has it been good?
Yes, it has been good. Most of it very familiar.
Okay.
And the issues, especially the complaints of the viewers, also very familiar. I think today they've even been gentle. There are some days that go really hard. It's been good in general.
Amazing. So that's where the cookie crumbles today on the Newday show. It's Monday, so on behalf of the rest of the team, Babina and Walker, and everybody on the back end, Dr. Nana Majima couldn't stay with us. Of course, Mondays, you know, she has to rush to the ward and fix some health issues. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be exciting. But know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, only you can achieve it. Have a great morning.